Can you please check your mute and unmute, please?
Oh, sorry, yes.
Yeah. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Vasudevasutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Hari Om. Okay.
Hari Om, Mama. Hari Om, everybody. Hari Om, ji.
Shall I start?
Ji, karo.
So we finished verse 17. And in that, we understood that Krishna Bhagavan was saying that what is right action should be known, what is forbidden action should be known, and what is inaction should be known, which is more like laziness. And he also said that imponderable is the nature of action. It is a very difficult, there is a lot of fine lines between it. So even बड़े ज्ञानी लोग भी पूरी तरह कर्म को समझ नहीं पाते हैं. The Sanskrit word is gahana, like गूढ़ है एकदम, secretive kind of. Difficult to comprehend basically. So that's why you should know this. Anybody who understands action, usko moksha bhi mil jayega from that perspective. So that's what we did last week, and this week's topic is also, it's a kind of a deep topic. I'll try to do my best, and if some of you read about it, then you can even tell your views. So the next verse is 18, whoever has the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse 18. I'm going to chant. Karmanya karmaya pashyed karmani cha karmayah sabuddhiman manushyeshu sayukta krutsna karma kruta. Karmani means in action. Akarma is inaction. So it's opposite. Karma and akarma. Yaha is who. Pashyet would see. And here means to understand. Akarmani, in inaction. Cha is an. Karma is action. Yaha is who. Saha is he. Buddhiman, that everybody knows, means wise person. Manushyeshu, in men. Saha is he. Yuktaha is yogi. Krutsna karma krut, performer of all actions. So now what Krishna Bhagavan is saying over here, now we all have to put our thinking hats over here. It's a little bit deeper subject, and different Swamis approach it slightly differently, and I will tell you both the viewpoints, and they both are correct, and I will tell you what is the difference, how people look at it. So basically in this verse, Krishna Bhagavan is saying, he who recognizes inaction in action, and vice versa, action and inaction, that person is wise among men. And he's a yogi. And यहाँ पर yukta word use किया है. तो yukta is, there are several meanings of it. It's like integrated person. But one of the Swami said he's referring to a realized soul also, because he has already achieved that. So that meaning is also there, yukta. And the last is also very interesting, the word krutsna karma kruta. Performer of all action दिया हुआ यहाँ पर, but it is a little bit more deeper than that. एक word है हिंदी में, I don't know आप लोगों ने सुना है कि नहीं, मैं कृत्य हो गई, right? इसका मतलब जो मुझे करना था मैंने सब कर लिया. लोगों ने यूजुअली अपने बच्चों की शादी के बाद बोलते कृत्य हो गई. So, but this is also used in the moksha sense कि जो मुझे highest goal चाहिए था वो मिल गया. So the person who has become realized or liberated or nirvana वो कृत्य कृत्य हो गया. So this word over here has that meaning also कि जिसको ये secret समझ में आ जाता है, action and inaction and inaction वो कृत्य कृत्य हो जाता है, he gets the moksha. So that's how. So now let's see the two difference between approaches is Chinmayanand ji has taken a slightly worldly approach in a sense, like the example I'm trying to think. Suppose if I take a train from LA to San Diego, whatever that Pacific train is there. Maybe I reached Encinitas one station before the final one in San Diego downtown. And if some friend calls, I might just say, I've reached San Diego because Encinita is kind of right here. So it's called a wayside station, just one station before you reach. So, Swamiji has taken that approach that this verse is like not all the way there, but very close. And then once you have reached there, if you continue on this path, and we discussed that whole scenario that you will reach, the train will reach. The other Swami, one of them, he took the approach that they are talking about a sthita prajna person realized soul. So both have equal value for us to understand different aspects of it. Okay, so let's take the first approach and we'll go over certain things and then we will take the second approach. So second approach will automatically happen when we read Swamiji's commentary. So in that first approach, let's try to understand what is inaction and action. So action का संस्कृत है कर्म और दूसरा है अकर्म. So from the highest perspective, we have hashed it out many times in this class that जो अकर्म मोड में करता है ना, he doesn't think I'm a doer. He knows कि आत्मा क्या है और जीव क्या है. And he knows कि जो कुछ भी काम धाम होता है वो आत्मा is just same, does not have any change, doesn't do anything. उसका presence होना बहुत ज़रूरी है. उसके बिना कुछ भी नहीं हो सकता. लेकिन जो काम करती है वो प्रकृति करती है. अगर वो somebody को एकदम से अच्छे से उसके दिमाग में घुस गया ये बात और एक्सपीरियंस भी हो गया, then that person is a realized soul. और वो ये भी देख तो ये हो गया ना कि action में भी inaction. That's what it means. कि कोई काम हो रहा है, अगर if a person is doing in like a karta mode, means I am not doing anything, only Prakriti is doing, and I am actually that Atma. तो वो आत्मा की सीट पे बैठ गया ना, वहाँ से वो कुछ भी नहीं कर रहा है. That's how you have to look at it. So that becomes inaction or karta. Now let's look at the other side. कर्ता कौन है? जिसको ये एहसास नहीं है. The person who doesn't know that and is not established in that doership is, I'm not the doer. So he thinks I am the doer, right? If he thinks I'm the doer, he is a karta. चाहे वो कुछ कर रहा हो, चाहे नहीं कर रहा हो. Because the definition of action in Vedanta is slightly different. जब हम लोग रेगुलर लैंग्वेज में यूज़ करते हैं एक्शन और इनएक्शन, तो वो बोलते हैं वो फलाना खाली कुछ कर धर नहीं रहा है, बैठा ही हुआ है, देन वो इनएक्शन हो गया है. दैट्स हाउ वी से अबाउट इनएक्शन एंड एक्शन. बट इन अ वेदांतिक सेंस कोई अगर बोलता है कि मैं कुछ नहीं कर रहा हूँ, बैठा हूँ, पर उसके दिमाग में कर्तापन घुसा हुआ है, तो वो एक्शन ही कर रहा है. ही इज डूइंग एक्शन ऑफ सिटिंग स्टिल, उसको भी एक्शन ही बोला गया है. सो इसका डेफिनेशन चेंज हो जाता है.
ये थोड़ा सेकंड वाला फिर से एक्सप्लेन कर दो.
हाँ, श्योर. सो वेदांत, पहले तो हम लोग वेदांत का डेफिनेशन लेते हैं, राइट? तो वेदांत में एक्शन और इनएक्शन, उसका डेफिनेशन इज बेस्ड ऑन वेदर आई हैव डूअरशिप और नॉन डूअरशिप. डूअरशिप मीन्स अहंकार से करना कि मैं कर रही हूँ, मेरे बिना तो कुछ हो ही नहीं सकता. that feeling, of separation and from the rest of it. And everybody understand what is ego, right? Have some idea. Ego से जो करता है ना, तो वो चाहे कुछ कर रहा हो या नहीं कर रहा हो, एक्शन ही बोला जाएगा उसके लिए. और जो ईगो से नहीं करता है, जो जानता है कि ये भगवान के प्रेजेंस में प्रकृति कर रही है, और मेरी माइंड, बॉडी, इंटेलेक्ट, एवरीथिंग इज प्रकृति. Prakriti is doing it, but I am not that Prakriti. I am actually that Atma. Then he is, a karta or non-action. They are related, Miraji. So you will only understand the other in the context of the, both of them together. What I'm trying to say is that suppose somebody is sitting in meditation, okay, and they say, I'm a karta, I'm not doing anything. पर उसमें वो मेडिटेशन का अभिमान हो, तो फिर भी वो करता ही हो गया. Just think about it a little bit, because worldly sense में तो, अच्छा आप बताइए मीरा जी, worldly sense में नॉन एक्शन किसको बोलते हैं?
वर्ल्डली सेंस में नॉन एक्शन जो कुछ काम ही नहीं कर रहा है,
राइट, तो ये आपको समझ में आ गया, राइट?
हाँ जी, हाँ जी.
वेदांत में बोलते हैं कि तुम कुछ कर रहे हो या नहीं कर रहे हो, उससे कोई संबंध ही नहीं है एक्शन का. तुम्हारे दिमाग में क्या चल रहा है उससे ज्यादा संबंध है. That's all it's saying. So a person who may be not doing anything, but if he has an abhiman, then he becomes a doer, no matter what. And then if a person, does not have a abhiman, वो चाहे कुछ करे या ना करे, he's non-doer, a karta.
तो इसका ये मतलब है कि अगर कि आप कुछ नहीं कर रहे हैं, लेकिन आप दिमाग से सोच रहे हैं कि हम कर रहे हैं, तो यू आर अ डूअर.
Yes.
और अगर आप कुछ कर रहे हैं लेकिन ये नहीं समझ रहे कि ये प्रकृति कर रही है, आप उसको समझ रहे हैं कि हम कर रहे हैं, अगेन यू आर अ डूअर. And both
Yes.
are bad, correct?
Yes. मतलब जब तक तुम्हारे मन में अहंकार और वो है, you are always a karta.
I see.
And जो दूसरा आदमी है ना, वो कितना भी काम कर ले, कुछ भी कर ले, but he's a non-doer, because उसके दिमाग में उसको separation मालूम है. So it has something to do with that. That's what it is. Yeah, it is a little bit. Did everybody get it? If you didn't, then because this is very important.
If you are a non-doer, then you can't create karma.
True. That's exactly right. And that's why what Joe always talks about, बोलते हैं ना गीता मोड में करो, अकर्ता करो. That means तुम कुछ भी कर रहे हो, तुमको वो bind नहीं करेगा.
So you require total submission.
Yeah, you can approach this from many different angles. So in this particular chapter 3 and 4, Krishna Bhagavan has approached, that liberation or moksha through karma stage. In chapter 2, we saw from understanding state, the sthita prajna ki lakshan jo humne dekhe, the characteristic of man of wisdom. We saw it from the understanding point of view. Here he's talking about from the karma point of view. Bhakta will look at it as from a bhakti point of view. It's true. Surrender किसी ने कर दिया तो वो अकर्ता बन जाएगा फिर. Because what is the characteristic of surrender? मेरा कुछ है ही नहीं, तो वो काम कैसे करेगा? वो तो बोलेगा ओ भगवान करवा रहा है, भगवान के लिए कर रहा हूँ, सब कुछ भगवान ही आ जाते हैं ना उसका, तो वैसे ही अकर्ता बन गया वो. And then later on in chapter 12, भगवान will call एक ज्ञानी भक्त का टाइटल दिया है उसने. भक्त, ट्रू भक्त मीन्स ज्ञानी भक्त, और वो भी अकर्ता ही है. And also like in I think chapter 14 is on gunas, I believe. Yeah. Gunas, maybe he talks about another approach. From the guna point of view, he will tell you who's a realized soul. So this topic can be approached any way. All approaches are correct, depends on what angle you are taking. Here, because it's a chapter on karma yoga, 3 and 4, he's talking about from the karma perspective.
So that means as long as I'm thinking, I'm this body, mind, intellect, then whatever is happening, I'm thinking, I'm doing it.
Yes,
Once
correct. Right.
recognize that I'm not the body, mind, or intellect, I am that Atma. Atma doesn't do anything. So
Right.
from that point, you can say, I'm not doing anything.
Correct.
Is that what we're saying?
Yes, that's exactly what we are saying. Now, the only difference is, according to Chinmayananji, only saying is not going to do it. You have to actually live in that mode. All your actions should express it too, and then you are truly part of it. Because like
Right.
aham brahmasmi, hum log वैसे बोल देंगे, but if you are not doing in that mode, it is just superficial then.
I mean, as per that, you see, even if I'm sitting and somebody thinks I'm not doing anything, even the act of sitting itself is considered as an action.
Correct. You got it. Yes. So that definition changes. Okay. So यहाँ पर that the Swami who says that this verse is saying that the final stage. So the way he's interpreting this is that okay, the person who has understood this distinction of action and inaction or karma or akarma and establish in it, that person is yukta, means totally integrated, means he is like already united with the highest. And he us karma krut ho gaya, karma krut mein krut kritya ho gaya hai. He has done, he's fulfilled the mission of his life basically. Whatever he came here to recognize that Atma as himself, he has already done it and it is finished, his job. So, how to get this vision? Obviously here it's still just one verse. In this chapter only that he's going to talk about knowledge. With knowledge we can be established in this mode of inaction. खाली सुनने से नहीं होएगा, we have to do certain things obviously, and that will come a little later. And also now let's analyze like action at the body level, because sometimes we think that just physical thing is called action and that's it. But in Vedanta, even mental is called action. You could be sitting very quietly, but if your mind is churning very fast about somebody and some things and all, that's an action. Even talking is an act. Talking to हम लोग मानते हैं कि action है, right? I may speak something and that also is considered action. But one step further, even thinking is an action in Vedanta. That's why they say don't have bad thoughts about people. Because you may be thinking, Falana doesn't know,
I
but
have a comment on this.
हाँ बोलो.
Because even talking can be in an action mode when you are not saying it, but it will coming out of your mouth without you realizing. So what I'm saying is you reach a stage when your body separates from you and the action is taken by this body, which you can even observe. And it could be speaking, thinking, and doing the work.
Yeah, I'm not denying what you're saying. I came a little one step down now.
Yeah.
At that highest level, you're right. If you're doing in a karta mode, everything becomes a karta, whether you're talking, thinking,
Like if you want to drive a car, and you say, I'm going to drive a car, or you sit in the car and start driving. So there's a difference. Without thinking that you are driving.
But there's a little bit danger in your approach, because sometimes things can become mechanical, but not all mechanical actions are a karta. Because you have to go to a slightly higher level. Some bad habit somebody can become mechanical.
If you have separated yourself from the action, then it is a karta mode.
Not in the highest sense, because some people जिनको बुरी आदत लत लग जाती है, वो बिना सोचे समझे भी तो करते हैं, तो उसको कहाँ डालोगे आप?
That is still a karta mode.
Not according to the Vedanta. A karta is only if you are
not doing it. Actually, after a while, you can distinguish between you and getting done for you, or done for directed for you to do. And it really happens. But anyway, I just
see, the thing is that if you are talking of highest Vedanta person who is a realized soul, uska jo akarta mode hai na, that is more to do with being established in that higher self.
Yeah.
That is akarta. Everything else is at a worldly level.
If you say I'm meditating, that is an action you are doing. But if you meditate all the time, then you are in a karta mode.
Not according to, no, I
You're not
disagree.
making an effort to meditate. You are just in that mode. And so when you do an action like yogast hokar karm kar, every action you do in that mode will be a karta. That's
If
what
you
I'm-
do yogast, true. But yogast may be exactly same cheez hoti hai, that you are kind of united with the higher and then doing it.
Right.
So karta ho gaya ki nahi?
हाँ वही बोल रहा हूँ.
हाँ, so ठीक है, maybe the language is a barrier a little bit. Maybe you and I are thinking of the same thing, we are just expressing it differently. But it is more to do with this mode that you are not the doer. That is the main thing. So anyway, coming back to the worldly level, that physical level or speaking or everything can be an action and just not physical. And then I think I already discussed all that. Let me see if I missed any point. Yeah, I think I covered all of it.
Maji, just for my clarification. Okay, if when I read it, to me it was the action can be done in the akarta mode, in the sense you're saying I'm not the doer, yet it is still an action. And therefore, because action cannot go to the infinite, there's a finite thing, it cannot be infinite, and therefore that still may lead you to it, but it may not be the the realized person as yet. You are there, you're going, your direction is right, yet you are not there because it's still an action.
You are right. That's, remember before I started this, I told you, everybody, that there are two different approaches. You are talking about the second approach which Chinmayananji has taken, and both are correct approach, and both gives us some clue about what they are talking about. At the base, they are the same. All Chinmayananji said is exactly what you said. Merely by action, you cannot reach there. And then he also divided the thing into three different things: activity, inactivity, and unactivity. So Rajasic way of action, Tamasic way of action, and Sattvic way of action. So inactivity was laziness. Because we relate more to that. You know, that's why. So, but both the approaches are correct. You're learning something important on both sides. And I just finished telling you what one of the Swamis said about, this particular verse. That, this is like, it's taking you to the highest. And now we can go and, so Swami Chinmayananji said exactly what you said. Sirf action se koi realized soul nahi ban sakta. Because action means I have some desire.
Yeah, related to that.
Right? So agar mera desire hai, to fir I cannot reach there. And that's why he said that. And then here, that this person is buddhiman mana gaya usko, right? So what Swamiji's approach is, buddhiman is a wise person, not a realized soul yet.
Yes.
But he's on the way. And यहाँ पर युक्त को स्वामी जी ने योगी बोला है. The person who is quite highly evolved. But this is a known fact in the whole Vedanta that merely by action you can never reach there. The shift has to happen. The knowledge has to take place.
Yeah, which becomes automatic. It's not you thinking it more, as Joe is saying.
Because I like both the approaches, so I thought I will bring out both.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so now we can read.
One more question here. So, yogi then means realized soul. Is that right?
Well, you can take it both ways. It depends on what context it is. Here the word is actually yuktaha. In this particular verse, he has not used the word yogi, he has used the word yukta. But yukta can be considered as a yogi also, and yukta can be considered as a realized soul also. That's all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other question before we go? Okay. Who is the volunteer to read? Who has a blue book? If nobody's volunteering, Meeraji can read. Go ahead, Meeraji. Oh, you have to unmute, Meeraji. Cannot hear you.
He who recognizes inaction in action and action in inaction is wise among men. He is a yogi and a true performer of all actions. By thus following the rules of right living, karma, as indicated in Vedanta, when an individual has lived for a sufficiently long period of time, the doubt arises as to when exactly we can say that he has completely reached the state of perfection. This question should necessarily throb in the intellect of all sincere students, and Krishna is trying to indicate this noble goal of fulfillment of all karmas in this stanza.
So here, like what Meena ji was saying, कर्मा से जितना कुछ हो सकता है ना, उससे एकदम हाईएस्ट पॉइंट पे पहुंच जाओ बस. सो ही जस्ट सेइंग कि ठीक है, कर्म योगा शुरू कर लिया, उसका कुछ इंडिकेशन भी तो होना चाहिए, कि मैं कुछ प्रोग्रेस कर रही हूँ या नहीं कर रही हूँ. सो सम benchmarks are going to be given now for that.
Action, as we have already seen, is a gross expression in the outer world of some known or unknown deep desire in the intellect. A complete state of actionless would be necessarily the state of desirelessness or the state of infinite Godhead. But the goal indicated here is not this state of infinite perfection, but only a wayside station on the pilgrimage. A true and diligent man can discover and recognize in himself that even in physical inaction, there can be intense mental and intellectual activity. He can also recognize that he, even in the most intense activities, is himself an observer of it. This is reveling in inactivity, a karma, which is the maximum sattvic state.
So here there are 2 points. One is that wayside station that I told you about, कि हम LA से चले एंसिनीटा तक पहुंच गए और हम बताए, oh, we are already there, which is okay, we are going to reach. So Swamiji took that approach over here, and then he's telling you that in a sattvic mode is a karma mode, because there is even though physically you may be totally inactive, but there is like this intense activity, means your brain is active and you become an observer of your action. I think that's what Joe was talking about. That you just become the observer of your action, and you are as though not doing it. And the driving example he gave. Or, somebody, the way he has taken the approach, जो एकदम सात्विक मोड में होते हैं ना, तो वो बोलते हैं कि even in the worldly thing, okay, people will say, why does the executive get like $1 million salary, and the person who is doing, hard, say picking up the garbage or something gets so much less? दोनों ही तो काम कर रहे हैं. Why? Because the guy who is sitting at the executive level is achieving a lot more. Physically, he may be inactive. He's just sitting whole day on the computer, but he's achieving so much more. He's generating more income. He's employing more people. You can look at it many different ways. And this actually happened in my cousin, he's a professor of finance, and I think he's in University of Chicago. And he said that, one day he was in his office, and he said that, when I'm totally relaxed, tab bhi mere ko sabse zyada mera kaam hota hai. Like, I solve the big, because he's in research, if they are PhD in economics, they have to come up with new theories, new this, solve these big problems. So he said that, one day he was sitting in his office, and he said that America mein thoda relaxed hote hai na log, like office वगैरह में भी. So his door was closed, and he put his feet up like that, and he said, I was sitting like this, and I was thinking the deepest thoughts, like solving the biggest problem. And his son, who was a teenager, walked in his office, and he was totally horrified. Dad, you working? You're a professor. You're putting your feet up and sleeping. And he went and told his mom at home, Mom, Dad doesn't do anything at work. He just puts his feet up and he said, I was like, how do I explain to him that I was doing the maximum work? At that time, I was on the verge of busting this big problem. So I said, oh my God, this is what Swamiji was talking about. And our teacher used to say that when the fan is going very fast, it looks still. Have everybody noticed that? It feels like it's not moving, you can't see the blades. But the maximum activity is going on. So if somebody is in a sattvic mode, they are the people who achieve the maximum in the world. And the other people, the Rajasic, are always in competition, comparison, this, that. उसी में चले जाते हैं और वो जो lazy होते हैं, तामसिक वो तो कुछ करते ही नहीं. So that's what it is. So when he's talking about this inactivity over here, that's what he's talking about, the sattvic mode. So this example probably made it. I love this example.
Yeah, I think both the examples are excellent. The example of your cousin who's a professor, and the fan example is also excellent. I think.
So this
suddenly, it drove the point. Yeah.
Suddenly the tubelight goes on, and this professor example, because I have been a Balvihar teacher for so long, and when I heard this example, I immediately clicked. So I always talk this example in my class if I get the opportunity. And one student of mine, he after 10 years I met him, and he said, Auntie, I remember that example that you gave about your cousin. So I said, no. I said, how do you know my cousin? I told him. He said, no, you gave that example in the class. I said, okay, that did make an impact on this fellow. My cousin doesn't even know that I'm using his example, by the way. Okay.
Such an individual has thereby reached a state of great equanimity without which it is not possible to live a successful life of meditation. It is not said here, as it is usually believed, that right action itself will take us to the infinite. That is impossible. As action itself is a child of desire, through action alone we can create things, and created results are, in their very nature, finite. Thus, a Godhead reached through activity can only be a Sunday Godhead, which must depart from us the following Monday morning.
So here is the point that Meenaji was talking about, that just by action you can never reach. So that he just warning us that, karma yoga se, so everybody should know in this class by now, karma yoga, what it does, it purifies your mind. That's the role of the karma yoga, but it's a very extremely important tool for us, what position we are in. That's all it does. But, like some people, that's why I have a problem when people say, oh, itna jap karo to tumko kuch mil jayega, vagara vagara. वो सब finite चीजें मिलने वाली है उससे. You're not going to get the highest. For that, you have to purify your mind, and the knowledge has to dawn upon you. And when we talk about knowledge, it's not the knowledge, Aham Brahmasmi, just the word. That doesn't do anything. They're talking about the experience of it. That is the most important thing, because by now all of us know Aham Brahmasmi. But Swamiji gave a very beautiful example. He's saying that somebody who wants to become rich, constantly by repeating the mantra, I want to become rich, I want to become rich, he's not going to become rich. So you got to walk towards it, and the path is purify your mind. And then when it's going to actually happen, you will not know. And he compares it to going into sleep. Does anybody, when we lie down to sleep, does anybody remember the moment we actually fall in sleep? Never. Because you just slide into it when the conditions are right. So he calls this process also the same. Your job is, if you want to sleep, your job is to prepare for sleep. I cannot sleep standing up. I have to lay down. I have to make a little dark, whatever is conducive to my body, to create that. And then I have to, मेरे को वो detachment mode में आना पड़ता है. I have to drop all my problems, my worries and all, then I fall asleep. So same way, saying that karma yoga is like a preparation. Constant preparation, purify, then one day it happens.
Shankara and other great acharyas have all been tirelessly repeating that right action, undertaken with a sense of devotion and dedication, creates in the bosom of the student a sense of complete detachment, as though he himself is a disinterested observer of all that is happening within and without him. When thus an individual detaches himself and observes his own activities as part and parcel of the world of activities around, he gains in himself an indescribable poise which is essential for the practice of meditation.
I think this is what Joe was talking about earlier when we were saying, we were talking to each other about it. This is what the mode is talking about, that the person becomes the observer of the thing. I'm not doing it, but mere dwara ho raha hai. Correct? Joe, when you were talking about, that's what
Also,
he's...
you have to really feel it. It's not like my wife is always telling me, oh, you are pretending because you are saying, you say cop out. Like you can do anything and you say, I'm not doing it. So it's not like pretending. You have to really feel inside the two separation. And it's not that easy. It happens with the grace of God, I guess. I don't
Yeah,
know
just
how.
keep purifying, and with grace of God is gonna. So you become the disinterested observer but that gives you, it almost gives, when you get detached, no, you don't feel bound. I'll give you an example. Like the people who are very much into singing, and like they will sing, कोई audience हो चाहे नहीं हो. Number one, Meera ji smiling because she's a singer. And then when you are actually singing, a true singer doesn't care that the reaction of the audience also. He's in some dancing to a different thing. That's why a lot of people, the really great singer, they close their eyes. 5,000 लोग हों चाहे 2 लोग हों, जब वो गाना शुरू करते हैं उनकी आंखें अपने आप बंद हो जाती है.
A true singer or a true painter wouldn't even know that they are doing this work.
Because it comes naturally to them. It's something like, yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. So now another point which was you talked about earlier, but it's explained well. But just by being in a karma mode, you never get moksha. Because for moksha, you need no desires and no karma consequences of your karma. Because the third law of Newton still applies, that to every action there is an equal opposite reaction. So in your all past lives karmas and their reaction are part of your this life. So your stack has desires and karmas. So each of these karma, if you do in a karma mode, then there is no consequence. So there is not adding to that stack, and your stack is reducing. And once the stack is gone and you have no desire, then you get the moksha.
Well, there is a slight issue over there in your approach. Okay, so here what Krishna Bhagavan is saying is, we don't want to increase our stack. That's for sure. Because when you increase your stack of karmas, the danger is you get sucked into the world again.
Yeah.
Okay, and then your chakkar starts again and again. Okay, so now, but there is one technical thing over here, Joe, and that is, once the knowledge dawns upon you, and you're not talking about knowledge of the like a secular world knowledge, no, not like, it's not like a physics or chemistry knowledge that you are one with the universe and you actually get that experience of it. Once you do that, all your karma get bhasm ho jate hain wo. That's what they're talking about.
Every karma you do after that will be part of.
वो करेगा ही नहीं, वो अकर्म मोड में होगा, उसको कुछ लगेगा ही नहीं. उसका वो ईगो का घर जल गया है. Okay, where will the postman deliver? Suppose if my house totally gets burnt down and there is no house, where will the postman deliver the mail? There's no house left. That's what happens to him. You know,
But what you have accumulated, you have to pay for it.
I know, but that's why there is a slight disagreement what the way your approach is, because what Krishna Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita is ज्ञान की अग्नि में सारे सब कुछ भस्म हो जाता है.
That is Maran Vidya, which you can.
No, that's why in Bhagavad Gita call it जीवन मुक्ति.
Yeah.
तुम्हारा चलता रहेगा, but तुमको वो टच नहीं करेगा वो जो कुछ भी हो रहा है. You know, it's like you have become separated from it. It's something like this. If while I'm dreaming, suppose a scenario, while I'm dreaming, I come to know that I'm dreaming. Will it touch me? Firstly, it is not going to touch me anyway, your dream. But now in my dream only, I know it's not going to touch me. So that's what happens to the Jivan Mukt guy, that even though living on this earth, that's why nothing bothers them. When we say no pain, no physical ho, mental ho, physically he's going to feel. He's not some kind of stone. He's going to feel. But somewhere inside he knows that my body is not me. It's just a temporary thing, you know. So according to Bhagavad Gita, you can get Jivan Mukt while you are in your body, while you have a huge dher of karma, but wo roasted seeds ho jayenge, that they're not going to sprout, they're not going to affect you. You know, so you don't necessarily have to die to get the moksha. You do it while you're alive in this moment, anytime. While you're alive, it can happen. That's what I find it very appealing in Bhagavad Gita. That it said anybody, anytime, anywhere can get this, and you don't need to die to get it, and it's called Jivan Mukta. You know? And the people who are realized souls, who are on this earth, they are Jivan Mukt. You know? They are like living in that akarma mode. They're not collecting any more karma, and they are not being affected by anything either. So that's what it is. Okay, let's go further.
Merely because an individual is keeping quiet, we cannot ever conclude that he is inactive. Physical inactivity is no criterion to call one an idler. On the other hand, it is a fact well known to all of us that when we are intensely thinking, whenever we are in a state of creative thinking, we are invariably quiet and inactive physically. Therefore, in the physical inactivity of one, which is labeled as idleness by the hectic footpath walkers in life, we can detect intense activity in his deep within. A Buddha under the fig tree, an artist at his easel, a musician at his instrument, a writer at his desk, all of them punctuate their activities with still moments of intense inactivity called unactivity. And they bend forward to pour out their artistic and literary creations. All these moments of physical cessation are not mere inactivity, but they are the necessary quietude and silence when the mind and intellect function with the highest velocity. Thus, he who has the capacity to introspect can easily detect perfect action in complete inaction.
So this whole paragraph is exactly the same two examples that I gave. It fits over here also, right? So now you can see. So he's saying that what Swamiji is trying to say, once you develop that, that's going to take you to your moksha, because you need to be in that mode, you know, because that's what inaction over here is. That ekdam sab kuch karte hue bhi you are detached and you can do the maximum amount of work.
Again, as an intelligent philosophical mind can, even when it is actively functioning in the outer world, detach itself from these activities, as it were, and observe itself as acting in the given field.
So again, this is the same. It's basically trying to detach yourself and observing yourself. And then, Swamiji gives this example of himself writing this. Huh?
As I am writing these words, a certain part in me can stand apart and visualize how my fingers, constituted of mere minerals, can hold the pen at the right slant and carry it along the paper so that the words may be spelled properly thereon. So, in all activities, this capacity to visualize discriminatingly your own activity, this capacity to observe ourselves functioning in a given field with or without the other members of the community is not very rare, and those who can do it can realize how, in spite of all our activities, the observer in us, which observes the activities, is most inactive. Wow.
So yeah, so this most inactive is that Atma. So basically, this is the same theme, but he's giving you one more angle to look at. That how, or there is another word that आप लोग ने सभी सुना, be a witness of your own action, right? Or that Atma is that witness. And I can compare it to a scenario that sun is a witness of what is happening on the earth. Because sun is just there. Without sun we cannot function, but it is not getting involved in your activity. किसी ने बोला कि सन रेज जब टच भी करती है ना तो कभी मैली नहीं होती हैं. It's a very interesting phenomena. पानी मैला हो सकता है. But sun rays you can never say the sun rays got contaminated. It can touch a gutter or it can go touch a Ganga water. And this is